Hey guys, what's going on? This is Awais back with another video of Java Essential Training series. So this video is going to be about exception. An exception is a problem that arises during the execution of the program. When an exception occurs, the normal flow of the program is disrupted and the program terminates abnormally, which is not recommended. Therefore, these exceptions are to be handled. An exception can occur for many different reasons. Maybe a user has entered invalid data. A file that needs to be opened cannot be found. A network connection has been lost in the middle of the communication. So some of these exceptions are caused by user error, others by programmer's errors, and others by physical resources that have failed in some manners. So we have three categories of exceptions in Java. You need to understand them to know how exception handling works in Java. So first we have checked exceptions, unchecked exceptions, and errors. Checked exceptions is an exception that occurs at the compile time. These are also called compile time exceptions, and these exceptions cannot simply be ignored at the time of compilation. And then we have unchecked exceptions. An unchecked exception is an exception that occurs at the time of execution. These are also called a runtime exception. These include programming bugs such as logical errors or improper use of any API. Runtime exceptions are ignored at the time of compilation. And then we have errors. These are not exceptions at all, but problems that arise beyond the control of the user or the programmer. Errors are typically ignored in your code because you can rarely do anything about an error. I think it's time for a practical example now. So let's declare an int variable. I'm going to name x is equal to 100 divided by 0. So we all know that we cannot divide numeric value to 0. It's not in the mathematics. So let's say if I try to print out x and run the program, and now I'm gonna get an exception in a thread main java.lang arithmetic. So what kind of exception did we get? Arithmetic exception. Okay, so now if I, let's say, print out something else, let's say hello YouTube. Okay, well, the reason why exceptions are there in Java is because, let's say, you think that this might give you an exception error, okay, but you still want to run this code. So the Java compiler should not stop here and then keep compiling the program. Okay, so we can do that by try and catch method. So let's say now I add a keyword try, and here I will declare x is equal to 100 divided by 0. Okay, and then semicolon, and now I'm going to catch that exception now. So type the keyword catch, and here in the parentheses you need to type what kind of exception you want to ignore, what kind of exception you want to throw away, and still keep the program running. So we can copy that exception type from here, right click, copy that, and just paste that there. Okay, and then now I'm going to type the variable name, what I'm going to apply on, enter, and add a code block. Alright, so if I get out from the code block here, and if I s out, and I'll say exception is thrown away. Okay, so, and then let's print out another line here, and I will say this dash 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 dash. Okay, so now even we have that exception error here, but compiler will still execute these lines. So let's run the program, and let's see. As you guys can see, that exception is thrown away, and it printed the last part of the code as well, which is these lines. Okay, all right, so we can add multiple catch block here. Okay, so let's say if I have a couple of exception here, different kind of exception, so I can always add multiple catch block in try and catch. So let me try creating another situation here. So let's say I will create an array, so int, let's say name it, let's say y, and then add square brackets is equal to new and then int square bracket here, I'll type 2 as my index, semicolon. We have the array now. So in the try now, I will add as out, and I will say y and add a square brackets here. I will try printing out 5, and that doesn't actually exist. The maximum value we have in the array is 2, so we have 3 values. Index start from 0, so I'm trying to print out 5th index, but it wouldn't work. So now what happened if I run the program? I have another kind of exception here, array index out of bound exception, right? So it's telling me the line number A. So now I'm gonna add another exception here, and then here I'll add another catch. Here I'll type array out of bound exception, and here, because our variable is already in scope, the y, so that's why I'll just change the variable z. Okay, and here add a code block, and that's it. So now let's run the program now. As you can see that exception and both exceptions has been thrown away. There's another thing I want to show you here. If I just get rid of this, alright, and then here you add this operator, and here I can say arithmetic exception. Okay, and now let's see what happens. If I run the program, it still works, because you can add multiple exceptions in one catch block as well with the help of this operator. Okay, so there is another thing I want to talk about in this video, is the final block. So the final block follows a try block or a catch block. A final block of a code always executes irrespective of occurrence of an exception. So using a final block allows you to run any cleanup type statement that you want to execute, no matter what happens in a protected code. So a final block appears at the end of the catch block, and the syntax for that is basically, if I want to add a final block here, so I'll type finally, okay, and then here I will add, let's say, this is out, and then I will type, let's say, hello YouTube, please subscribe. Alright, so now let's say I'll make this to comment. Okay, so now let's run the program. Let's see what happens. Now as you can see that hello YouTube, please subscribe is being printed out, but these 2 lines did not get executed because we have that exception. There's only one thing I want to mention with the finally code block, is the only time it won't execute when you have exit the system before getting to the exception. So let's say if you type system.exit, exit the program here, so that's why it won't run this time. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Cheers.